Hey guys, Chris here, and I'm a Ukrainian Canadian. Today's November 17th, 2022. And let's get over the news happening in Ukraine, shall we? So, the last few days have been eventful. We did cover the events happening in Poland, and it's very clear now that the West, thus NATO, is not going to interfere against Russia in terms of a direct war, and potentially a massive scale war was avoided. But I think that Denis Davidov made a very good point yesterday, saying that these missiles potentially were Russian, and it's just that the NATO members were too afraid to actually, cause a massive war just because of an event like that. Well, that's my personal opinion. So that's why they had a position that was much softer than everybody expected. And again, what convinced me to think that these most likely are Russian missiles and not Ukrainian missiles is that the S-300 is a missile anti-defense system that has a self-destruction mode, which upon missing its target does self-destruct if it doesn't reach a target. So again, it could have malfunctioned and it could very well be Ukrainian, but it seems to me that all the facts seems to be pointing more towards a Russian strike that NATO did not consider to be worthy of a retaliation, thus causing perhaps, a full-scale war between Europe and Russia. And that's exactly what Putin wants, because Putin is a little bit tired of just hearing Russia and Ukraine only in terms of this conflict. I think he wants to bring it to a global war. And for him, it's the prestige that he'll get, the legacy that he brought the world down, not only Ukraine with him, but the world. So potentially that was very intentional from the Russian side, now that I think about it. But again, there's a lot of fog going around, so we're not 100% sure, and I cannot confirm nor deny either that these are Russian missiles that struck Poland or not, but there's still so many questions to answer, and unfortunately, I don't think we'll get the answers. So that's it for the Polish incident. No more from my side about it, but thankfully, we're all well and alive wherever we are right now. So today, I wanted to cover what is currently happening today. And so lots of things have been ongoing. In Dzhankoy in Crimea, the Ukrainian army has struck the airbase in Dzhankoy, as you can see on this map, apparently through a kamikaze drone, which is about 155 kilometers away from the nearest Ukrainian controlled territory, meaning that the Ukrainian army does have kamikaze drones that have this range as well, meaning that they also have the capacity to perhaps hit further within Russian occupied territory and, of course, military targets. This apparently has damaged multiple aircraft and destroyed certain aircrafts that were located in Dzhankoy, again, giving a huge blow to the Russian army in Crimea. Again, they use Crimea as a huge launching pad for their attacks in southern Ukraine and southeastern Ukraine in Donbass. So this is a huge blow again, and a huge morale blow for the Russians that are currently, defending or attempting to defend Crimea. It just breaks, I think, more and more their morale knowing that the Ukrainians are capable of hitting so far. In other news, today as well, I guess this could be good news for our Dutch counterparts. The Hague court ruled that the Malaysian Boeing was shot down by missile from the Buk air defense system launched from Pervomaisky. And they apparently now made a claim that they've ascertained, as you can see, that the Russian Federation coordinated military actions in the DPR, Donetsk People's Republic, financed and provided weapons to the militants, and also undertook military actions on its own. Russia was in full control of the DPR. So again, it's good that they've admitted, and finally this has come to an end, all of these investigations, and it's proven that Russia is behind it. I think it was clear from day one when the DPR militants took absolutely disgusting photos of them being so proud of shutting down this airplane, only to realize that it was a civilian airplane. They still stole all the valuables from all these innocent lives that were lost during that day. And it was very clear from day one that this was Russia's doing. And then very quickly it was found out that within the same day, Russia transported this Buk system to Ukraine to give it to the separatists, and perhaps even operated by Russian military as well. And as you can see here, this is Igor Girkin, the ancient, or I should say, the old one of the leaders that was behind all these separatist movements back in 2014, and they have concluded that he is to be tried and he is guilty. And so if they ever catch him, he will be given life in prison. So that is well deserved, but unless Russia loses and its army is defeated, he's still going to be comfortably living in Russia as he is right now. So that's good news, but again, not much is going to be done unless Russia is going to be completely defeated, which is still ways to go for the Ukrainian military. And more, I guess, unsurprising news is that Hungary announced today the start of economic cooperation with Iran. So apparently, Hungary agreed with sanctioned Iran, that everybody's well aware of. Why? Because they're a terrorist nation, and currently the Iranian people are doing a massive revolution. And there were reports a couple of days ago that the Iranian government is planning to basically kill 15,000 of these people that went to protest as a show to any other people in Iran thinking of protesting against their government. And the women, apparently, they've announced, and this is what I've read, are planned to be raped as a way to not let them into heaven, according to Muslim law. So, I mean, if this is what Hungary sees as a reliable partner, I'm sorry, but I don't think Hungary deserves to be part of Europe and the European Union and NATO. They've really shown their, their positioning in through this war, where they're positioned, and that's clearly not with European values of democracy and freedom. And they've always put, sticks in the wheels of Europe and many partners, including Sweden and Finland, to get admitted into NATO. And they just can't be playing this double-faced game anymore, where they want to have the luxuries of the West, yet apologize or be apologetic for Russia's and Iran's actions. That just can't work. And it comes to question that what Europe's reaction should be. Should they be tolerating that there is literally it would be almost like a sleeper cell agent within your own country, and you willingly know what they're doing, who they are, and you still, haven't done any actions. That's what Hungary is right now. They've constantly reminded the world that they are pro-Russia, that they are not behind Europe's sanctions of Russia. And today it just further confirms that their position is with Iran and Russia and not Europe. So that begs a very serious question as to what Europe should be doing with Hungary in the future, the very near future. And also it says here, the country of Hungary wants to return Iran to the system of international cooperation. How can you, want to have a country that is recognized as a terrorist, organization, I should say the government, into international cooperation? You cannot. And so these claims are just really ridiculous, in my opinion. So just some more images. I've already mentioned it a couple of times. Between the Belarus and Ukrainian border, the Ukrainians are reinforcing that border, obviously due to the fact that Belarus allowed Russia to invade from their country and allowed Russia to operate their strikes from Belarus for well over 9 months now. And so you can see some more pictures of this wall that is being built by the Ukrainians. It seems to be about 10 meters high, and maybe a little bit less. And you can see that there's also a little water ditch built, so it makes it more difficult for infantry to cross, or even APCs and ground forces such as tanks and things like that to cross this ditch. And apparently, they've also mined it. As you can see here, the Ukrainian military mined the border. So it will make life very difficult for any further intrusion, either by the Russian army or the Belarus army. So this outrage by Belarus is ridiculous. We understand why. And it just makes their life harder to invade for a second time. And this is the re-education happening in Luhansk by Russia. Again, doesn't that remind you of a certain event that happened in World War II? I think so. These are Ukrainian books somewhere in Luhansk schools, and the kids were asked to throw away anything that was written in Ukrainian. And again, it shows the fear that Russia has from Ukrainian culture, Ukrainian language, and they didn't come here to liberate Ukrainians. They came to impose themselves onto Ukrainians, to force them to adopt Russia. And you can see here that it's no different from fascist Germany, Nazi Germany. It's literally the same playbook that's being used. But Russia's always used this playbook. It's not like this is recent. This has been ongoing for centuries by Russia. When Ukraine was under the Soviet Union, this was the same playbook. Before the Soviet Union was the Tsarist Empire, which did the same thing. It executed, killed, elite Ukrainian elites and poets and, thinkers. And it was just scared of the Ukrainian mentality, which was all about freedom and democracy. These are values that are through generations were upheld by generations of Ukrainians. And so Russia always sought to destroy that through, these books and culture and everything that, Ukraine represents. So there's that. So I have a few videos for you guys. First of all, you can see that the Kremlin is in panic. And I'm not going to put the audio because it could be copyrighted, so apologies, but I will translate or tell you what they're saying. And yeah, you can see that this is national TV, Россия 1. So this is their main channel of propaganda that the Russians listen to. And let's hear what they have to say today, or that was perhaps yesterday. You say, let's nationalize, let's take everything from the Germans now. Our Sapsans, which were the Siemens trains that Russia has between Moscow and St. Petersburg, I believe. So the Sapsans are their high-speed rail systems, the trains, and obviously Siemens could only build that because Russia doesn't have an industry for high-speed trains. So let's continue. Our Sapsans will stall tomorrow. What are we going to ride on? Indeed, there's nothing to drive on. We just have to accept that. Of course, it's easy to stand on an armored car saying, let's nationalize everything. And what will we drive? What will we use to make phone calls? What are we going to do? Are we the ones who led everyone to that? Let's bring to justice those who caused it. Let's. But that won't make a new Sapsan appear now. The plane won't appear. We don't have a long-haul airplane. Yes, everything we have is Western. So you can see that on national TV, it's quite, I find it very insane to think that now they're admitting that. You would never have thought, like even a month or two ago, hearing that on national Russian TV. And now you can see that there is a clear panic going on because they realize that once West completely stops, even slightly supporting Russia, they're gone into like not even third world country status. They're below that. They don't produce anything. Can anybody name what Russia's been producing of value the last 30 years? That's right, nothing. There isn't a famous Russian phone or a famous Russian car or anything of value that Russia's been producing in terms of goods and items. Yes, raw materials, of course, they have plenty of that. Coal, rare earth metals, petrol, diesel, anything you want from raw materials, they have that. But actual innovation from Russia, that is non-existent in the last 30 years, mainly due to the corruption that Putin brought to the country of Russia. So let's continue on. And what are we going to do the next day after nationalization? A simple question, no answer. But of course, everyone agrees with you. And that was the simple narrative that, Russia was explaining to their people that, oh, we're a great big nation and, we don't need the West. We'll just nationalize all of our great industries. But they've denationalized these industries. They don't exist anymore. After the fall of the Soviet Union, all of that was, sold to oligarchs who quickly, just scrapped most of these industries apart. They outsourced most of it. And, Russia's left pretty much with very little industries that they're not self-sufficient at all at this point. The basics are covered, of course, food supply and everything. But in terms of actual goods of value, electronics, innovative material goods, they don't have that. So that's interesting to see this panic in Kremlin. This next video is just a video from the front lines in Ukraine. I just want to, keep showing you guys the daily lives of the, heroes of Ukraine fighting for freedom, and you can see that it's just terrible conditions. Just it looks like World War One. You see the muddiness, the cold. They're dirty, but the morale is high. The Ukrainians again know what they're fighting for. They know that who they're against, and that's all they need to continue this fight. They are not going to, get their morale down because it's a cold, muddy day, and I cannot tell you guys enough to support the Ukrainian army whichever way you can. There's multiple foundations that have a goal to furnish these soldiers with the best equipment and best gear, especially as the winter comes. We're going to need all the help the Ukrainian army can get. So yeah, the conditions really suck. And this is just proof of how effective the air defense systems from Germany and the US and Norway are, and why Ukraine needs more of them. You can see that this was filmed somewhere in Kiev Oblast, if I'm not mistaken. You can see that in the background here, there is a cruise missile that was already shut down. You could see for a couple of seconds the glare that it emitted after it was shut down by an RST, apparently, system that is from Germany. And you can see that there's right above another cruise missile flying, and it is automatically shut down by the RST missile. So Ukraine needs more of these systems. So whenever Russia launches these big attacks, 99% of them will be shut down. So Germany, US, any country that has these systems, please send them. Ukraine needs them like a lot. And last video was quite interesting. So this was a video during the Russian retreat from Kherson. And this is a friendly fire moment between Russia. And who knows, maybe that was it was intentional, actually. It could have been very well intentional. So you can see that the Russians are fleeing from the right bank of Kherson. And one of the soldiers is shooting at the boats at the back. So I assume perhaps you can see shoot the small one, shoot the engine. As soon as he shoots the engine, they start getting fired upon by the other side, which is obviously the Russian side. And you can see them waving their hands saying that we're friendlies, don't shoot. And then they start shooting nonetheless. And apparently one soldier got instantly wounded. Yeah, there's massive panic. Nobody knows who they are. Lack of communication between the two Russian sides. And you can see this is what happens. So this is the retreat that the Russians had. It was still very chaotic. As much as it was well planned, according to Russia, you can see that these soldiers had no idea who was who in that situation. Anyway, so the end of the video is just basically the same scene of them screaming, saying that we're Russian, don't shoot at us. So that's it, guys. Thank you for your support. Let me know about my comment about Hungary. What do you think should be Europe's next step, the European Union's next step, and NATO as well, in terms of this announcement by Hungary. And again, please subscribe to my channel, leave a like if you like my video, and leave me a comment about what you think. So thank you so much for your support, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you.